I married a wealthy heiress in my brother's place, only to find out she was in a vegetative state and needed my care. Perfect, I didn't want to get married anyway. 5 years later, she woke up and specifically asked to see me. I was in the middle of running off with millions in assets, dodging her family's bodyguards. Love almost caught up to me. When Catherine found me, I was in a seaside villa, munching on a popsicle and watching anime. She furrowed her brows, tears about to fall, while I was more concerned about whether the two main characters in my show would end up together. You might call me useless for the way I handled it. But hold up, I've been emotionless for over 2 decades. Because of that, I know that fluffy romance stuff isn't healthy. It's just not for me. I'm a romance novelist, but I've never been in love, although I have been married once. It was the year I graduated college. That winter break during my senior year, my mom pressured me to marry in my brother's stead. Nick, marry for your brother's sake. He's just starting his career. Getting tied down by a woman would be a setback. I thought, my mentor can't wait for me to graduate, and you want me to get married now? My mom couldn't care less. She was worried her oldest son, my brother, would have his wings clipped by marriage. And me? Just a family disappointment. Frustrated by her nagging, I gave in. Fine. I'll do it for him. After all, you can always get divorced. They did raise me, so I owed them something. Anyway, I didn't want to stay there any longer. Immediately, they lit up with joy. But I had a condition. If anything happened, their eldest could care for them. As for me, our ties were cut. Don't come looking for me. After I said that, my parents hesitated a moment. Silly child, what are you saying? We'll always be your parents. My mom continued, you're marrying into her family, so you don't need to prepare a dowry. I'll give you the contact info. Just contact their butler if needed. My dad added, Nick, come back if you ever feel homesick. That home wasn't mine anymore. I snorted and left. My brother's gaming curses echoed in the house. How nice. I was losing my future happiness while their son was losing his freeloading lifestyle. Yes, my super brother's career was just being a deputy GM under my dad. It didn't take much time. Growing up, everything nice went to him with leftovers for me. I'm used to it, but it wasn't right. Same mom, but he got to attend private schools while I went public. I worked hard, got into college, and was about to graduate. And now marriage was on the table. Sure, marrying the richest family's daughter might seem like a catch, but being a son-in-law isn't exactly high status. That's what abandonment by your own feels like. Unbelievable. Then I got a call. Hi, is this Nick? A cool voice over the line sent chills down my spine. Yes. Your parents must have informed you about the wedding. Yeah. We don't need a big wedding. Let's keep it simple. That's a relief. I blanked out for a second and she continued. I'll arrange our driver to pick you up. You won't need to bring anything, we'll prepare everything. The driver was silent the whole ride. We stopped at the entrance of some private hospital. A girl stood by the roadside, dressed in smart professional attire, her short hair giving her a sharp and cool look. She had an extraordinary presence. Nick, hey, I'm Lily. So this was my marriage partner? Who were we visiting at the hospital? I soon got my answer. In the room, a pale, delicate girl lay in a hospital bed. This is Catherine, my sister. She's also your fiancée. It all made sense why my parents dumped this task on me. My fiancée was in a vegetative state. Lily said, Nick, remember, you're part of this family now. If you have problems, we'll help, but you must care for my sister. I know she's not well, and having you marry her isn't fair to your family. If your family ever wants to do business in a city, I cut her off, no need, sis. I have no ties with them anymore. She glanced over my thin clothes. Not on good terms with them? Need help? I shook my head and looked at the unconscious girl. Her hospital attire and tranquil face more lifeless than alive, like a sleeping angel. Later, I found out Lily turned around and surprised my parents by withholding goods from them. It was merciful, didn't completely ruin them, just left them half dead. My parents called me non-stop back then. I blocked them all. I did what they wanted. Now, I didn't care about the rest. Catherine and I got the marriage paperwork done. The marriage was arranged by our ancestors. Our parents weren't of age to marry at the time. Lily's grandpa feared Catherine wouldn't wake and wanted her married in case. Thanks to family happenings, unlike others wanting to build homes with spouses, I just wanted a peaceful life, free from a traditional marriage. To me, marriage was a shackle. The arrangement was a perfect cover, like a well-paying, low-effort freelance gig. No reason to worry about anything else. Fantastic. Even my supposed duty, caring for my wife, was just fulfilling a role. Reading to Catherine and chatting was all I did. Most jobs require kissing up to higher-ups. Even working animals get coffee breaks. I spared myself all that. Guaranteed success. While I was telling Catherine stories every day, I was also writing them. Turned out I got pretty good at it. I sold some rights, got a name for myself. 3 years later, the old man passed away. After discussing with Lily, we decided that if Catherine didn't wake up in 2 years, I'd divorce her. Well, Catherine showed no signs of waking up. That's how my 5-year marriage ended. From selling the rights to my books and saving up allowance, I had close to tens of millions. So I quickly moved out of City A. Found myself an island to retire on and kept writing. Lily asked if I wanted to stay, but I turned her down. I overheard her talking with her assistant that day. "Miss, about Nick. I know you don't have to say more. I just think someone like him, without exceptional abilities or family support, won't be much help to us. You don't need to worry about it. His wishes matter most." But the old man passed, and the board is watching closely. Okay, go handle the paperwork. My wish, naturally, was to leave. They thought I wasn't good enough, and I didn't want to stay either. Later I heard that after I left, Catherine woke up and specifically asked for me. I went ahead and changed my number. Got myself a private little villa and cut all social ties. It's not that I'm not interested in pretty women, but love, honestly, freaks me out. It's hard for me to imagine building an intimate relationship with someone. Just too exhausting. As a novelist, I have a hobby. Anonymously lurking in my own reader group. In recent months, one reader has been exceptionally active. She's read every one of my novels and has unique insights on each character. This story about a stepfather assaulting then killing his stepdaughter, who relives her death day over and over, eventually escapes but with the male lead's help? How's that independence? Plus, how can she be sure the male lead will always choose her? Barely know each other. A chance encounter? Who trusts someone that much? Such a naive kid. My novels are all about love. Without some magical chemistry, who would pay to read it? The way those flop authors write on internet, readers would be demanding refunds. And another story with a wolf and a rabbit. The wolf lost an eye fighting for territory and met the runaway rabbit, whose mom had been eaten. But she falls for a predator? Just because this wolf was gentle? Have you ever seen how wolves hunt rabbits? I can explain that. Actually, never mind. I have a reason to suspect she's a hater. The most ridiculous one is that period drama story. The male lead knows loving the female lead means death, yet after reincarnation, he still seeks her out and wants her to let the secondary lead off easy. Only after multiple reincarnations does he regret not knowing the second female wasn't into him at all. But the first lead was persevering with him, seeking a way for them both to live. Can't they just talk it out? Is she allergic to romance? Doesn't she understand what cliché writing is? She best understands my breakout piece, Sleeping Beauty. The male lead falls for his comatose fiancée, with all their stories fabricated by him. Does he love her story or her? What if she wakes and becomes bossy? Might they start a conventional blame game? That's why I didn't continue the story. Someone once said, "Everything inevitably leads to mediocrity." It's our job as creators to stop that mediocrity and leave readers with endless imagination. The admin asked if I wanted her kicked out. I said no. Everyone's free to discuss, and she hasn't been insulting. As I contemplated, I went to make tea, looked back and saw my Siamese cat pawing at the phone's light. Knock it off. I picked him up, realizing the little culprit had sent several messages, including one where I called him. I quickly recalled them. The chat went silent for 3 minutes. Holy crap, did the author just talk? His voice is so nice and gentle. I'm in love, sob. Am I the first to know the author is a guy? I was so embarrassed I could die. The cat's not getting canned food tonight. Then it got even worse. Next day, as I wandered to the public pool outside my villa, I saw Catherine waiting there. She smiled, showing her cute canines. Long time no see, ex-husband. I stiffly greeted her. Catherine, are you here on vacation? No, I'm here for you. How'd you find me? She wore sunglasses, her skin still porcelain, legs dangling by the pool, bright like the sun. Since you never wanted to see me, I found you. Used some connections, but I did find you. Really? I didn't know Catherine was looking. The internet leaves traces. It's painful. Be cautious online, start with me. Or you might find your ex-wife at your door for a chat. She pushed herself up, standing before me. All right, enough idle talk. Down to business. I'm here to return your stuff. I actually knew Catherine would wake up. One day while telling her stories, her fingers twitched. With the 5-year mark near, I fled hastily. In any case, it's hard to imagine living under the same roof with another person. Hell no. How I lost something very important. My grandma left me a pocket watch. She was the only one in the family who really cared about me. Whenever I got kicked out by my dad and had nowhere to go, she'd sneak me a meal and say, "You've had it tough, hon." Then she'd get mad at my mom for favoring my brother. My mom once thought of leaving me with grandma, but then grandma had a stroke and passed away. I was in high school then, a boarding school, and only managed to see her one last time in the coffin. I wished I'd been there so she wouldn't have been alone for days before someone found her. That watch is the only thing she left me, and I often keep it with me. When I was with Catherine, I had it with my stuff, hid it well because it's gold. I hid it so well that when I left, I forgot to take it. Thank you, Catherine. Don't thank me yet. There are conditions to getting your watch back. What do you want? She sighed. My sister's getting married. Well, congrats to her. Is that all you have to say? What do you want me to say? You know how she feels about you. I don't know, don't want to know, and never will. I know you two had something. She told me. She said every time you saw her, you'd run off, scared to talk. But after she confessed, she lost interest. Is it possible that I just don't feel like talking to people? She probably doesn't believe me, since she's the girl I talk to the most. Even the neighbor's sister doesn't hear as many stories from me as she does. I wasn't in the mood to explain. Is this all Catherine wanted to know? No, she smiled with a cute dimple. I'm going to study abroad in 3 months. I want to date you for those 3 months. Oh, I read what you wrote and couldn't really get it. Always felt like it sort of made sense, but not quite. Maybe since we've been around each other 5 years, you can make me understand. She added quietly, and it won't hurt, might help you forget my sister. Though I didn't quite catch that last part. Wow, this girl coming straight with her questions. But right now, I'm a free man, heart at peace, not easily swayed. Yet that watch is really precious. I kept it cool, whispering 1 month. Fed up, she tapped my head. You think you're in a market bargaining for veggies? I write romance novels, been married, dated too. Didn't plan it, married first, then dated. With the same person. I was at the top of my game, a lone wolf. Until this woman turned me into a husky. Catherine stayed at my place. She snuck away without her sister knowing. Didn't have much money. Oh, except my watch. Really should thank her, almost went hungry in a tourist area. And she still didn't pawn it. I worried she'd skipped rehab practice. She crossed her heart, so I let her stay. When she settled in, she dashed to make friends with my cat. As a kid, I was allergic to cats but loved them. My parents never let me have one. Grew out of it, got busy with studies, and later work left little time or interest. You want it? 20 grand and it's yours. She perked up. Really? That cheap? Me. Where are these rich folks' clueless daughters from? 20 grand buys you dozens. Wait till you finish school and have a stable home. Then you can get one, but kittens are very clingy. Cleaning up the mess left by the cat and Catherine, I turned and found her eyes on me, bright and round like the cat's. In that moment, felt my face flush, and I looked away, but Catherine inched closer. Kittens are clingy, and then, I didn't respond, just stared at her. A weird moment broken by loud knocking at the door. I raised an eyebrow. What's with all the traffic lately? The security footage revealed it was my parents at the door. Me? How'd you find me? Parents? We just wanted to see you. Me? I'm not interested. Mom? Nick, your brother passed away. I opened the door. They looked so worn, like they'd aged 10 years. My brother died in a reckless sports car crash. Very on brand for him. He said life's an adventure, needed thrills. They wanted me at his funeral. I wasn't interested. The only family I cared about stayed back in high school days. Nick, you can't be this heartless. We raised you, you can't just. I wasn't having it. I can't? Why not? Didn't I give it back? Completed the arranged marriage. Stood in his place whenever needed. Took exams for him? Or do you want me dead for him now too? Now you remember me. Huh? Where were you when I was feverish with no one around? Or during report card meetings? Even when I was stuck in the storage room, where were you? Thought I'd let it all go. But it's funny, I recall it all vividly. Like when they dumped me with a nanny and went off on vacation. Grandma had to call a doctor. Or when they promised to show every meeting, only to take my brother to a theme park each time or go out together. Once, I was locked in a storage room by my brother, and only the cleaning lady found me the next day. I complained. They didn't believe me, never noticed I was gone all night. Just laughed. Assumed I played hide and seek in there. Why hold a grudge? Huh? We can't hurt you, right? Whatever happened, it was surely for your good. Yes, even if parents did make mistakes, you should understand, Nick. I suddenly remembered I've cut ties with them, so I guess I can be that dutiful son now. Weren't you two in business together? What? I said coldly. I thought you two were chefs, cooking up stories, always adding fuel to the fire. You don't need scissors to sell cloth, and you're just talking nonsense all day. Seriously, what does it mean when you shamelessly run in circles like bare-butted donkeys? You came to my place just to make fools of yourselves. Oh, now that you've lost a son, you suddenly remember me? Talking big nonsense, what gall. Suffocating me. I felt relieved. They were stunned. I've always known my parents didn't want me. Mom was unexpectedly pregnant, and my brother wasn't thrilled about having me. But the doctor advised against an abortion because she was a high-risk maternity case. She could end up with a hysterectomy, which would accelerate aging. Not wanting that, she had me anyway. On the first day I was born, they handed me to a nanny. So saying they raised me is a lie. They only birthed me, which is pretty accurate. My dad pointed at me, sputtering, unable to say anything coherent. This kid, just a few days without discipline, and this is what we get. I heard you've been writing novels lately, an author, huh? Wonder how your readers would feel if they knew you were an ungrateful jerk. Would they still buy your books? I took a deep breath. Do you know that being too excessive gets you cursed? My mom scoffed at the ceiling. I live straight and proper. It's not up to you, my son, to judge me. Today you're coming back to City A with us. What does discipline have to do with you guys? I think he's doing just fine. I heard footsteps behind me. Turning, I saw Catherine, just moments ago in her casual home wear with a lazy bun. Now in a red dress, hair down, impeccably sharp and poised. Like a different person. Uncle, Aunt, now that's uncalled for. And you are, Miss? Catherine cleared her throat. I'm Lily, here to discuss some matters. Oh, Miss, what do you mean by that? I mean, you've had Nick join our family. Nick is our family now. Sure, our families have history, but it's been forever since we connected. You must know our social circles are different now. You want Nick to come back and take care of you in old age, while also expecting favors from our family. How naive. She leaned lazily on the couch, glancing around. Also, you're not destitute. Nick has said himself that he's unwilling, so are you forcing this, or are you just picking on the easiest target? There was a regal aura in her words. Yet I saw her as a puffy cat, fiercely protective. Of course not, Miss. All right then. She stood. You two should return. I'll arrange for some money to be sent your way and have someone assist you. We won't make this ugly, it'll be dignified. Rest assured. My parents exchanged a glance and left. Catherine turned back, and I was already on the couch, using a freshly fried fry as a pretend cigarette. I couldn't believe my brother just died. Just died like that. The nightmare that haunted me for over 20 years simply vanished. She placed her hands on her hips, meeting my gaze. What, cat got your tongue? Not quite. You and your sister are indeed related. You like that, don't you? She tilted her head, sitting on my lap, batting her eyes. I always knew my brother loved me just as a stand-in. But if he could love me half as much as he loved her, I'd be... She twirled a lock of my hair, close enough I could feel her breath, way past the comfort zone. Faint scents, maybe body wash. Or was it shampoo? Maybe lotion? My breath caught. Thud, thud, thud. I heard the ice around my heart cracking. My tongue tied. I blurted, no, I only like you this way. Folks, pure-hearted guys do exist. I'm gonna die. She was pretty bold just moments ago, but now her face suddenly reddened. She looked around awkwardly before retaking her seat on the couch. If it wasn't for my sister forbidding me to go out or telling anyone I'm awake, I'd have shown them myself. But I've realized our sibling relationships are worlds apart. My sister always doted on me from a young age. Her parents were different from mine. They loved both kids equally. Fancy clothes, different colors of the same style they could choose. Learning the same essentials, each with their own favorite hobbies. Ballet for one, violin for the other. Sometimes, if their mom was in the mood, she'd bake little cakes with them. Even their stern father would make it a point to drive them to school before heading to work. Night after night, this kind of love is beyond my imagination. So that's why Catherine could come see me whenever she wanted. Also why, when I first felt she was waking up, my reflex was to run. I didn't want any more connections. Some people live life silently, as passing ships in others' lives. But maybe, to the ones who love them, they're everything. Who knows? There's another reason Lily confessed to me. She's not the type to beat around the bush, always direct. Over 5 years after I'd finished reading to Catherine, I'd see her silhouette at the door, having no idea how long she'd been listening. I'd nod at her, let her talk to Catherine, then sometimes we'd chat outside. Her family had no sons, only daughters. After their parents passed, Lily took charge of everything. They stayed strong as ever. Every time I saw her, she seemed worn out. So that day she offhandedly confessed, "Miss, I'm your sister's husband. Do you realize how that sounds? If it gets out, how's a man supposed to live?" Catherine asked me, "My sister's getting married. Wanna go?" I flicked her forehead. "Nah, I'm just your boyfriend on paper, not your husband." She just gave an "oh" and went silent. She had a cat in her lap and kept petting it till it almost lost hair. But the cat couldn't get away and seemed mad enough to bite her. Honestly, I don't get your novels. It's not just 'cause I've never dated, but also 'cause I feel like I forgot something after the car accident. My sister got a doctor to check me out. They said I'm fine with talking to people and my memory is intact. But I still can't remember how I got hit by that car. Maybe it was too big of a shock then, and your body decided to forget to protect you. No worries, it probably wasn't something crucial. And didn't they catch the driver? She nodded. I asked, "Who's your sister marrying?" She frowned. "I think he's 8 years younger than her, the same age as me. His family's pretty average." I thought she'd have an arranged marriage. Do you know why she's such a go-getter? To continue the family business? That's part of it. But if she's her own kind of big deal, who needs an arranged marriage? She pondered, "Oh, that makes sense. I get it. Being better gives you more choices. Like my sister says, do what you love post-marriage, no matter how in love you are. Never let marriage make you someone who's forgotten themselves. Both gotta be happy in it for it to be truly good." Yeah, but how many can actually pull that off? Her soft breath surrounded me as the cat snuggled into her lap and dozed off. Time stood still. The sun was gentle. Is this what feeling at home is like? In a dazed moment, I realized she had leaned closer. I wrapped an arm around her and closed my eyes. My wife is so beautiful I could drool like a dog. Out of the blue, she opened her eyes wide and screamed. "Ah, I remember now. The day Catherine got into the accident was a year before we were supposed to get hitched. She had a fight with her sister and stormed off, cause of a marriage arrangement. No need to play detective to figure it out. Back then, the old man wasn't gone yet. Lily was likely lined up for a major family tie arrangement. No free choice there. But her sister marrying someone known to the family as a relative was almost written in stone to keep life good. And Catherine thought marriage was terrifying, eager as anything to dodge it. Marriage can be scary. Budvi thought Catherine, and I would agree on that. If she tried to back out that day, she'd get hit by a car, end up in a coma, and we'd tie the knot anyway. If she didn't try, she'd have to accept her fate and still marry me in the end. Just one coma away from a 5-year rich world experience for awkward in-laws. Gotta admit it's kind of funny. Living on an island is chill way more than you'd guess. Folks come and go. Most have nothing to do with me. I lay low, draw a deep breath, clear my head, and create. When I'm tired, I watch the waves. When restless, I dive into the sea. Once exhausted, I dry in the sun with salty skin. Recently, there's this girl kind of making my life tricky. Technically, I'm her boyfriend. I'm really clueless. I tried shooting her pic for ages. She wasn't pleased. She switched to selfie mode, making me a human phone stand. I ticked her off sometimes, yet she waited for me to make it right. She'd twirl in front of me with a pretty beach dress, asking me to pin her hair up with a cute clip. She's the pampered rich girl, but not as delicate as you'd think. Rich girl parenting isn't about material stuff. It's about perspective and attitude. Pleasing her is easy. It just takes noticing a bracelet she lingers her gaze on for over 10 seconds. Next time, make it appear in your hand, and she'll gleefully tackle you in a hug. Flowers mend a mood. If roses don't do it, try tulips. If one fails, go for 99. Sometimes it's not about the flowers. It's about being seen. For a chill vibe, veg out on the sofa watching a flick while sipping soda, and we end up chatting endlessly. For cleaning, wake up early, fire up the robot vacuum, and start a day in a tidy space that earns you wide-eyed admiration from a clingy girlfriend. Even if she's always been that dazzling sun everyone's madly focused on. She lights up my silent, lonely life, turning it meaningful. It fills my heart with something indescribable every time. While I work, she quietly draws blueprints by my side. Her clever designs breathe life. By the end of 3 months, I'm surprisingly attached to this girl. But she's so nonchalant. My flight's this afternoon. Already told my sister. Silence from me. When I reach F country and return, I'll be amazing. I believe you. We'll still be friends, right? Of course. She hesitated, rummaged in her bag for a while, and pulled out 2 boxes. This I should have given you ages ago. It's Grandma's pocket watch. This one, I designed it and had someone rush to make it. The ring wrapped around the band symbolizes infinity, with a subtle, cool glow that sparkles gently. Not too big, not too small, it fits perfectly with my finger. The real reason I came here was to ask you to come back to City A. But now I'm planning to study abroad, and I don't want to hold you back. My sister told me it was because you overheard what she and her assistant were saying that made you leave. You're not really a cold-hearted person. No matter how my family feels about your background, your ability, your family, I know in my heart, when her eyes light up, I know you're amazing. Even in a dream, I believe you can create something even more remarkable. I said, wait for me. I bought a plane ticket to City A. I wanted to see her off. I saw Lily again in the old house. I went to pick up something for Catherine and noticed the lights were off. But there was someone inside. Her face was shrouded in shadows, with exhaustion written all over her delicate features, holding a lit cigarette. You're back? How's everything? Everything's good. I figured. I turned to leave, but she stopped me. Take care of my sister. You know me. Without turning back, I replied, of course, and you know me. Catherine was waiting for me in the car. I'm leaving tomorrow. Do you have anything to say? I support you in chasing your dreams. Because I know the person I like shines because of it. On the way back after seeing Catherine off, I ran into my parents. There was a massive crowd gathered in front of the company, making it hard not to notice. They were completely overwhelmed, nodding and bowing. The people opposite them immediately beamed with joy. No matter what, you can't mold a lump of clay. But none of this concerns me anymore. 5 years later, Catherine came back, and we had a grand wedding. That ring she gave me while she studied abroad is the man's wedding band. Its meaning is eternal, endless passion. Her design, unique. The sun rises and sets, yet it always illuminates different corners. She became a renowned jewelry designer and started her own independent design studio. I also sold several pieces of my work and bought a few properties in the extremely pricey city A. Though it's still not as much as Catherine's family, at least I'm not embarrassed anymore. The day before our wedding, she said to me, I was able to wake from the darkness because I fell in love with the stories you wrote. They reminded me there's something worth cherishing in this world. No matter how scared I felt in the dark, listening to your voice gave me direction. I never liked your sister. What? Her feelings were too heavy for me to handle. I was always someone lacking a sense of security. After she confessed to me, I just wanted to stay far away. I was scared of such relationships. I was scared of someone getting close and trusting all their emotions and affections to me. It was too much for me to bear. It was always you, from the beginning until the end. Just you. Only this little fool kept crashing into me persistently, sticking around until I got used to her being there. Finally, she cautiously told me she loved me, and she had loved me for a very long time. From naive feelings to dreams in slumber and the path of struggle ahead, it was always directed towards me. So that's how it feels to be loved. A warm heart, constantly remembered, and a willingness to wait for it.